I have a lot of clients that have subscriptions because they believe in subscriptions and we're building on top of it. But sometimes we have to push them to just add, subscribe, and save. And it takes a year for them to do it.
How many direct mailers used to see for that? They took the majority of their marketing spend that they used to put towards pure new acquisition, and they focused it on keeping their high-value customers.
One of the things that a lot of people don't talk about in this market is the hidden cost of what churn really is. It's really customer retention ultimately. It's something that we care about tremendously as a very KPI.
Whatever service or product you're selling, how do I make that the highest quality that I possibly can in order the consumer staying with it based off of product quality? 99% of all subscription brands that sell products don't do that. What they do is, how do we make a good product, a good box, a good service, a great one, but good enough?
So what was that stuff you were trying to feed us last night, Amer?
Not chicken.
It was soy-based vegan food. It's called Daring. The company's called Daring. It's relatively healthy for a meat alternative. But it was pretty good. Brian, who's a meat guy, didn't mind it.
I said it wasn't horrible.
Oh, scale of 1 through 10.
So horrible to me is 1 and 2. It wasn't a 1 and 2.
Okay.
3 and 4 is like, it was probably like a 4.
You could just tell, right? Like you could tell clearly that it
Well,
was.
yeah. And I set that expectation.
Now the burnt one, not the burnt one, the crispy one was probably a 5.
Okay, we'll take that.
The other one though that you made that you undercooked?
It wasn't undercooked. It was just prepared differently.
I think it was. You thought it was undercooked?
I thought it was undercooked.
You said you wanted to eat it raw.
Well, no, I didn't say I want to eat it raw. I looked at the ingredients and said you could probably eat this raw. There's nothing that is in
Yeah,
the
you can eat
ingredients.
vegan food raw, right?
Most of it.
Well, why couldn't you? There's no meat product in it, so you should be able to eat it raw.
Well, sometimes you
Oh,
have.
John, what are you laughing at?
I just love that I didn't get peer pressured into eating it because it had carbs.
Well, he kept forcing it in front of us and dropping it in front of us and be like, "Here you go, guys," and we're like, "Well, we don't want to be rude."
But he was also like, I know
And
this
then we
is
got
carbs,
rude.
so you can't have it. I was like, yeah, it's a shame.
No,
Shame.
you did a great job, Amir.
Good job, Amer.
You said it what tasted like cactus?
I said heart of palms.
Heart of palms,
Yeah,
yeah,
I said
okay.
it was like that stringy, chewy consistency that I could almost tell. And again, it's visually in my mind already that it wasn't. You know?
Yeah.
You weren't just trying to trick us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson after you tricked us.
I think if I
once.
actually made like Philly cheesesteak type of thing, it would have been a lot better for you guys.
Maybe
I would.
I would like the
yeah.
cheese and all the sauces with it.
I got a
You
little
gotta drown
like
it.
a Band-Aid taste.
A
Band-Aid taste? The fact
That's
that
an
you
interesting
Band-Aids.
one. I never thought about a Band-Aid. I've never chewed on a
You know the
Band-Aid.
middle
Yeah.
of you know how the middle of a Band-Aid, it's like soft, but there's still some crunch to
Yeah.
it. I've never eaten a Band-Aid. I'm just
You're
you can
just
imagine.
No.
Well, maybe you have.
Should we start the episode?
Yeah, we should. Let's 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. E-com is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop. Amir from the agency and Jimmy from SAS. John has an Android, but give him a pass. Cause he's an operator building brands like a carpenter. And that's Brian, he is the marketer. Like I said, this the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. E-com is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the ASOM Pod, a show about perspective in the eyes of an agency, SaaS, operator, and marketer focused on the D2C, e-commerce, and retail space. All right, guys, what's going on? John Roman, Android-loving survival king. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Good. I'm excited about this episode.
No carbs, huh?
No carbs for 22 days.
Oh,
Wow.
He's still surviving. It does
Alive.
work. All right. Let's go to Amir Grostinich, fake chicken boy. We go to Prince of Bosnia.
You got my last name wrong, but my right and my first name wrong.
Well, that's because I'm adjusting.
You're trusting.
He's keeping you on your toes.
We got to keep you on your toes. If I called your name correctly, then you'd be worried about me.
I might be.
That's
actually.
what I'm talking about. All right, Brian McDonald. We've got the self-proclaimed funniest dude on LinkedIn. You ready to get spicy about subscriptions here today, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got?
Let's do it.
All right. And my name is Jimmy Kim, the moderator, the brain, the man of the people, and the email dude. First and foremost, if you like and enjoy our podcast, we have an unfiltered newsletter that we drop every week where we drop hot takes. It's at awesompod.com. Not only the website cool, and secondly, actually soon, you'll be able to buy this hat that we're wearing here on that website because we're now going into merch world a little bit. Come check us out, awesompod.com. Secondly, if you want to hang out with us in real life, you want to make fun of Brian, or you want to taste Amer's chicken in real life, we have a conference coming up. It's called Commerce Roundtable. It's April 25th in Miami. What are you laughing at over here?
I'm in charge of food?
Yes, you're in charge of food. You don't know that yet.
Brian is like, what?
No, we're really not. We want people to come back, Amer, so we're not going to put it. In fact, we're going to have mainly meat products and maybe like a little salad or something for people like Amer.
I mean, when I think of Commerce Roundtable, one of those things, besides it being a good conference, but like the food is always way more elevated.
Food and drinks are unreal
than any traditional.
That's because I
conference.
spend almost double the budget on food that you're supposed to on humans, because I believe that food makes everything when it comes to a good conference.
It works.
Yeah, it definitely works. So, all right, guys, today we are talking about subscriptions and specifically the rise and fall of the subscription model, specifically in e-commerce. Subscription e-commerce really took off for the last decade, especially with, other models imploding. It was taken off for a while, right? And we had big fun names starting to show up like Dollar Shave Club, Juicero, HelloFresh, BarkBox, FabFitFun. They all show us different lessons in what we could learn from this. In fact, BattleBox is a subscription company that also took off too. So in today's pod, I want to really unpack the rise and fall. So I want to start off because Brian over here loves this topic, because you've had some really spicy takes on our chat, basically. You like to go off and you start shooting video and stuff like that. So Brian, I'm going to start with you. What's a quick take on subscription? And what are we seeing right now? Why are we seeing a tape off?
Yeah, I think the old standard direct-to-consumer subscription model that we once knew, especially even right during COVID or before COVID, is starting to decline. And we're seeing that, with Paul Chambers himself in the subscription report. The issue is right now, the main subscriptions that people have are becoming so expensive that I would consider a BattleBox type of subscription, a standard D2C subscription model, a subsidiary subscription for someone's financials, right? So something like my T-Mobile plan, my Netflix plan, all of that stuff has grown. If you can look at like Netflix, for example, or Hulu, is up like 400% over the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So they continue to climb. Next thing you know, we're not getting paid, as the middle-class Americans aren't getting paid to standardize that climb. So we have to choose and say, hey, we used to have like 8 subscriptions.
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep the ones I use every day. My fun ones, I really have to take a look at now.
Yep.
And I think that's what's starting to occur is there's going to be a consolidation in middle-class Americans choosing what subscriptions that they truly use every day. And I know Gen and Recharge have gone around and you have to be a part of someone's everyday life, which I truly believe in, but you have to be a practical application use in order for someone to not even consider getting rid of a subscription. So for my wife, it's her Sirius XM radio. She loves it. Every day she gets in the car, she likes her channels. When it runs out, I call and I say, hey, this price is too high. And they say, all right, we'll cut it in half.
They
How
always
much
do
is
it.
Sirius these days?
You can get them down to like, a couple bucks, like 10, 20 bucks.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, so their standard pricing is between like 12 and 27, depending on the additional tiers.
Yeah.
But retention can lock you in at 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They still do that, huh?
So for her, that's important.
And that's great value because she uses it every single
Great
day.
value. For us, it's Amazon. Amazon's very important, membership, right?
That's gone up and up and up.
Up and up. Netflix, Hulu, and then I have Fubo TV.
Yeah.
So all of those have gone up. And now I used to have Dollar Shave Club that I got rid of because I said, I'm just going to buy a nice razor.
I was gonna say you're just not gonna shave.
And I'm just going to use this same razor all the time. I don't need more
You don't
razors.
do ones that often, yeah.
Right. So I think there's going to be a fall in the regular standardized direct-to-consumer subscription model that we once knew because of consolidation and rise in prices of the big ones that we use all the time.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And really, the thing about subscription is, again, you kind of said it. When you're a brand and you're like thinking about how do I create forecastable, predictable revenue, you ultimately think about subscription as a perfect way to do it. But at the same time, subscription is tremendously harder to sell to a human or consumer than it is. And I think over COVID and all these different things, it kind of lowered that threshold of like being able to do it. And now we're starting to see people be more conscious about it. You had something to say, Amer?
Yeah, I think something I want to add that's something that's interesting happening with digital subscriptions. I used to have a bunch of them, and then I looked at it as like, holy crap, I'm spending all this money on periodically watching certain shows and whatever the case is. I started to look into subscriptions I already have and what value they add to me as a subscriber. I'm a subscriber to T-Mobile. That's essentially a subscription. They give me Hulu for free and Netflix for free. I just saved myself.
I didn't know they give Netflix for free.
Yeah.
You're locked into it now, but now if as a net new T-Mobile customer, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. But I'm saying is like now I just saved myself, let's say $600 a year, that if I choose to do so, I can apply it for what would be non-essential subscription if I wanted to. So there's a lot of that, and I think we will see more of that even with physical subscriptions. People trying to offer combined bundle deals.
Combined, consolidation.
Yeah.
And make it a deal for many people.
Yeah,
at
with
the
digital
same
it's a
time.
lot
because I'm
easier.
sure they're paying T-Mobile must be paying Netflix and Hulu some cut of something
small-
in order to make it work.
Probably subsidizing it.
I mean, it's a volume model. It's like, hey, we'll buy 1 million subscriptions for $2 a pop.
Sure,
Why not?
got it. John, as Mr. Subscription in this room when it comes down to it, and as a 7 million time Cube Summit Award winner,
Nine.
What do we call it? Sub
I've
Summit?
won nine.
7 million.
9.
How many has he won? We're gonna ask Brian.
He's won 9.
Okay. He actually backed him up. I thought you were gonna crack a joke here. All right, your subscription brand is top tier. How does it compare to the big names we've mentioned? Like, how have you seen subscription change?
So, it's not apples to apples when we're talking about those big ones, just because they have such a wider audience. We're very niche, and so it's not true apples to apples. I would argue that because we're so niche, it's even more challenging. In general, I talk to a lot of peers that run very similar businesses outside of not outdoor gear, but just subscription boxes, memberships. And it's, I think for the reasons you've stated, so many are down 30-40% from that high point during the pandemic. And even if for a while when we were looking at direct to consumer and e-commerce overall, you could take the pandemic rise as an anomaly on that chart, and then you connect last year with 2019 and you're still up a little bit. With these subscriptions, they're actually below 2019 levels. So it's not good. I think we're in a fortunate and unusual spot that we haven't shrunk. We're not exponentially growing anymore, right? We're having to fight 3 times as hard to maintain our membership base. But I think we have some secret sauce. We have that content first, longer sales cycle, and I think that's kind of why we've stuck around. But it's hard out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that because when you look at it high level, you see subscription revenue, the industry is just going like this. So you're like, oh, subscriptions must be crushing it.
Top and to the right.
Well, no. It's because your Netflixes and Amazons of the world have 1 trillion subscribers, and they've
they're raising their prices.
Yeah, and I
3x
used to
their
pay
prices.
$8 for Netflix, and my last bill was $42.
Your regular
What?
$42.
Yep.
Why is your Netflix so much?
You get ad free.
So no, yeah. Well,
Are they all ad free?
I think they offer a lower one, but there's no
Yep.
ads. When they at the beginning of last year, when they decided password sharing wasn't cool, so my dad and my mom were both on my account. They logged in. They said, "Hey, busted," and they sent me an email and they said, "Hey, you can add this onto your account. They'll have their own profile. We'll migrate it into their own account. You can still own it, pay for it, but it's at a significant discount from a traditional. So it's about like 60% off if they were to get it on their own. So it just because of the offer, it just makes sense. So I have both of their subscriptions under mine.
Isn't it wild? Remember, like when we were growing up with cell phones, right? They give you a free cell phone and you pay subscription. Eventually, we went to pay for your cell phone, but you can put it on subscription, pay for it. And now we've come back around again to a free cell phone, and you just have to sign into a contract. There was like a change that has happened along the way.
It's gone back and forth. Yeah.
Cable is a perfect one. The reason we went to streaming TV was because it was cheaper. It was like, oh man, I'm so tired of paying Comcast $80, $90, $120 a month for cable TV. But now if you start thinking about what you're paying here, plus your Hulu, plus your HBO, plus your Showtime, plus your Fubo TV, everything you add, you're probably paying more money. And Ameri, you got something here.
That's not why we switched. So this is what Netflix and everyone was doing right, that a lot of physical subscription companies got wrong. So when we started with subscription boxes and everything like that, the pitch was convenience. Hey, we're going to curate product for you, give you something exciting every month. That wears off. Like cell phone companies, like Netflix. What did Netflix do? We went to Netflix in streaming because we could binge watch a show and not wait till the next week to watch it. Or we could watch a bunch of shows and not worry about commercials. And the trade-off was worth it because we got to enjoy content at our luxury and pace when we were available, not when a cable company wanted to put it out.
So I agree, but I can disagree with that too. So I had Netflix before I cut the cord and got rid of my cable. The reason I left cable, I had DirecTV for 17 years. And like clockwork, the Sirius XM model come up, the discounts would come up, I'd call. At the end of it, I was doing it every year. I would just call, they'd pick up, I was like, retention department.
You knew exactly
Send me right there. I'd say the same thing. Hey, I'm going to cut the cord. It's time. You're not bringing the value. What can we do? Can we just get it to what it was before? I did it year after year after year, like clockwork, worked every time. Then few years back, it didn't work. They said, well, we can discount it and we're going to get you, like I was normally 115. That was my sweet spot. I climbed up to 200 and they said, we can get you back at like 140. It's like, no, 115, 140. And that was the left. So it was purely money.
But
I cut it because of money.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying why we adopted the Netflix and everything was a different value than cable. Now, what Netflix is doing, what Amazon Prime is doing, everyone else, they didn't say, we're just going to produce this content. Now they're getting into sports, entertainment. They're upping the value with upping the prices, where a lot of these subscription boxes are not doing that. One of the reasons you're now losing a lot of members, you also introduced the Vault.
Yeah, we're adding value.
Yeah, you're constantly adding value. That's why these companies are doing fine. The boxes are not doing that. Going back to our statement before, lazy marketing.
Is Netflix adding that much more value besides some botched live sporting events?
Better shows.
They're
They've
buying
expanded
shows,
content.
Better buying.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Are the shows better on Netflix than they were 4 years ago?
I can't say they are. I think they were better 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Netflix might be lazy.
Yeah,
being
but
lazy.
their subscriber numbers are climbing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I guess, in preference. I think they're adding a lot more diversified content. They're adding more international content. They're obviously botching these sports events, and they need to work on it. But Prime
but they're still bringing it. You're
right.
right.
But Prime is nailing it. Prime is nailing Fubo, it's sports, right, for the most part.
Yeah.
They're nailing it. I'm a huge proponent of Paramount Plus because of the Champions League. I'm a big soccer guy. I will not cancel them. It's $5. I love to watch soccer when I'm working at night. I put a game on, and it's everything to me. But the value's there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point.
Yeah, that's it.
Nacelle is here with new AI tech. Read your customers' minds, isn't that the best? Turn browsers into buyers, collect your checks, showcase what they want through the product rec. Not your average, you may also like. Tracks the full customer journey on your site. From click to checkout, getting it right. From click to checkout, day or night. Nacelle makes your store smarter than ever. They personalize lives, isn't that clever? Providing smart segmentation that sells better. Deliver perfect picks to shoppers forever. Yeah. Visit nacelle.com now.
All right. So with that, Amer, I would love to jump right back to you on this stuff. When you think about your clients that are coming to you, right? Over the last couple of years, you saw a lot of clients wanting to add subscription to their model, right? How was that? Like, what have you seen?
He was pushing it too. He was telling them.
Have you seen a rise and fall there too?
People don't want to adopt subscriptions.
Oh, so you were pushing
the
people
ones that did.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of them did. That's the problem.
So they didn't want to accept it.
You still have a lot of clients that
No, I know. I have a lot of clients that have subscriptions because they believe in subscriptions and have subscriptions, and we're building on top of it. But like a brand, for example, that might be in jewelry or healthcare, sometimes we have to push them to just add, subscribe, and save. And it takes a year for them to do it.
Sure. Okay, but back to the question. The ones that you do have that love subscription, that are subscription centric, are you seeing the same downturn?
No. Ours are doing,
not.
they're pretty healthy.
Everyone's like us, where they're either
Everyone is growing. From whom I know.
not top line revenue, subscription specific.
Subscription numbers. We have one brand that had a very rough last year, but this quarter they've been turning it around, and I think they're going to bounce back. Everyone has had dips, and they've addressed those dips. So it wasn't like, it's not a constant like drop. It's like they'll see a drop and they're like, okay, we got to do something.
So they're probably a more skilled operator or marketer
Yeah.
than the masses.
And and not to say anything about me or my team, but typically these guys engage with me on a more personal level about the decision that they're making, and based on what we see from others. Actually, from all the subscriptions that we have, I think you're probably the furthest removed from those decisions because you have a broader team and because of your skill sets. But there are certain things from time to time you bring to my attention.
Fair enough.
That's interesting. All right. Let me go ahead and take this back in time a little bit. During 2020, we had the lockdowns that pushed people into things like meal kits and grooming boxes and pet subscriptions and more. I want to talk about a couple brands. One specifically I'm going to start off with is HelloFresh, because that was a brand that really, benefited from the lockdowns ultimately. And now we see people struggling, and we think about those changes, and they practically became synonymous with meal kits, right? HelloFresh was the name in the world of the pandemic. John, how do you think they kept their momentum? And I gave you some research stuff, so I know you got a lot to
Jimmy
talk about.
gave me a homework assignment.
I gave everyone homework assignment on this pod. So this week's pod, you'll see a lot more homework than just hot takes from Brian.
I hope you give me a gold star.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so HelloFresh. So yeah, not only did they grow in 2020 during the pandemic, their revenue more than doubled. And they were already doing some significant 9-figure revenue. So to double was substantial. But as soon as the world opened back up, people realized how expensive it is. Major churn issue. People were not staying around. LTV was going down. Monthly churn was more embarrassing than the numbers we were talking about last night that one company is dealing with. So major problem. At one point, only about 9% of their customers in a given cohort were still active after 11 months.
Wow.
Which is for that niche.
Because we know how much they're advertising, how much they must be spending.
I mean, how many direct mailers you get. So they had to figure something out, and it, smart operators, smart marketers, much like you were talking about your clients figuring out the drop. So you can literally point to one thing that specifically saved them and righted the ship, and it was their ready-to-eat meals. They call them RTEs. Instead of just meal kits, they leaned into fully prepared meals, right? So there's no longer the bonding time with your significant other, with your partner, putting in the oregano and doing that. They just ship it to you, full laziness, it's ready to go. And that's given this huge spike. So on it, from the spike, it grew 45% in revenue, while their traditional kits declined about the same. So the pivot helped them stay relevant.
They solved a problem that they realized people didn't want to stay inside and cook. They wanted something faster.
They just want it fast, easy. They don't want to actually put in the work anymore.
So they actually had a change in their revenue model per se, because what were they before? They're not ready to eat. They were called pre-prepared.
Yeah, ready
meal
to cook,
kits,
ready
right?
to make.
Yeah. So they realized that people didn't want to make them anymore because they didn't want to be trapped inside. They just wanted to have the convenience of doing it, and it probably changed their customer base a bit too, because people who are just looking for ready to eat are probably going to be different than people who are willing to cook their own meals.
Yeah. So they made one additional change. So once they righted the ship with the RTE, they made a major marketing shift. So we talked about it a second ago. How many direct mailers, ridiculous amount of ads that you used to see for them? A lot. So they took the majority of their marketing spend that they used to put towards pure new acquisition, and they focused it on keeping their high value customers. So less focus on acquiring new and just maximizing existing. Loyalty, surprise, and delight discounts, just maintaining that and getting their base, because it's a big base, that LTV just up.
Was there any situation that impacted them with all these new food-based subscriptions popping up as well, and there were so many more options that you can flip to?
I mean, I don't think that is unique to any other brand. I mean, you have it in it. You know, your customer acquisition costs might raise, your CPCs might raise a little bit, but it's not of significance.
But I think in their space, I think they could have probably had 50 to 100 competitors compared to like a BarkBox or Oma's. It's like a lot less.
but it's all relative with market size, addressable market, and overall ad spend. And while you'd have a lot of competitors, and there were some that raised money and had money to throw, a lot were on shoestring budgets.
Okay.
So it didn't impact them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're certainly allowed to learn from that one.
1, 2, 3 into the fold. Guess who it is? Omnisenders at the door. Tools that'll make your brand break through. Pretty damn awesome, just ask the crew. Trusted by over 125,000, 5,800 reviews, you can count it. Go ahead and try it like Elf on the Shelf. The results you'll get will speak for themselves. Do their best to impress with their SMS. Do their best to address an email address. So forget juggling apps, this ain't a circus. Omnisend was built just for you with a purpose. So what are we doing? Why the delay? Head to omnisend.com today. Hey, yeah.
All right. I love that story. I think that's a really good lesson to learn. If you're in subscription or thinking about it, there's a lot to learn from there because they made an internal pivot. They maintained their actual model. They just purely changed who their problem that they were solving for, and they sold a different solution to the market. And you know, another one that I can think about, and this is another company I think about, and they were heavily relying on influencer marketing. They were offering strong first month discounts to hook new customers. The company's called BarkBox. Their subscription caters to pet parents. I think they're actually called Bark now, ultimately.
Yeah.
And Brian here, the pet guy here, I know that they had a niche focus, and I know you have some pretty interesting takes around what happened during the pandemic and what helped them retain clients. What did you learn about BarkBox when you start talking?
Yeah, so BarkBox is interesting because they got into, obviously they're a curated, essentially pet toy company that was around for years prior to the pandemic. But the big lever that they pulled is they noticed for top of funnel and acquisition strategies and then cross-sell and upsell strategies, we have to add and make our own treats. They never used to do this before. As soon as they added treats, so like 2022 for an example, they added almost 1.2 million new subscription customers in 2022. They're at today in 2025 over 3 million subscription customers. Wow. What they do is they do a multitude of things now. So before they went, hey, we're going to curate toys, right? The thing that we notice is most dogs destroy toys. No matter if it's, hey, this is an unbreakable toy or it's everything.
No such thing.
Everything's destroyable.
Yeah.
And what do people hate doing? I don't want to go to the store to get a new toy every time my dog chews it up. So that's when they started BarkBox and curated the toy experience. Then they started doing the monthly themes. So a Valentine's Day box. The toys are Valentine's Day themes and St. Patrick's Day. And you can buy those boxes on the website as well as a single box. They use those during the specific holidays as like acquisition to the actual subscription model. And they offer like their big promo is a double box like you guys did, right? That's their go-to model. And they're able to do that with pet toys because the margins on pet toys are typically anywhere from 200 to 300% gross. So very, very high margins on toys. A lot of them are, ordered overseas. You get a little stuffed doggy for $3, you sell it for $12.99. And the big thing they saw is, okay, if we truly want to keep people on and keep people coming back to us, we have to create our own treats. So they have a co-packer, co-manufacturer that creates their Bark treats. And they got those Bark treats and expanded into retail, your CVS's, your Targets, Petco, PetSmart, right? So Bark is available pretty much in any big box store. And they have specific SKU sets in their retail store. So what they do is they sell treats alone in the store. They sell toys alone in the store, but they don't have their BarkBox in the store. So they're saying, okay, well, let's just get the Bark name out there, get our treats into, dog bowls and homes, get the toys in there. Toys get destroyed, treats are gone. Well, I want treats and toys now together in a box. So now as a subscription customer, you get their standard as 2 treats and 2 toys. and you get that delivered, I believe it's every 4 weeks. And they were able to grow from under 2 million subscribers right when COVID started, before COVID. Now they have over 3 million. So they went from like 1.3 million to 3 million by adding treats, getting into retail, and changing the way in which they acquire customers, retain them, and also cross-sell them. Very interesting game plan.
Yeah, the retail piece, having them separate is, I really like that.
Really
they're
cool.
almost using it like a tripwire, a modern day
Yeah.
tripwire.
Yeah.
Let's go to retail with our product, our brand, but we're gonna really lead them to find us.
Half the solution. Yeah, just come to us and get the
They did in 2022. They did $504 million in sales. Last year, they did just over $600 million.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, let's continue on. Let's talk about this, because the question that I think for everybody as we think about these next couple brands that we're going to talk about is, were these brands just riding the wave of lockdown, of convenience, right? Or were they building a long-lasting brand? And, you know, I want to talk about some of the successful ones in the world, because I think I gave everyone a little bit of homework to do, and there's some ones that we come to play. So the first one we're going to talk about, and we're going to go to Amara for this one, is the famous Dollar Shave Club, right? They rose to fame through viral marketing. They said, our blades are effing great. And they offered cheap monthly blades and eventually sold to Unilever for $1 billion ultimately, right? So Mayor, was it the Dollar Shave Club success? Was it purely from witty marketing, or was the subscription model itself revolutionary?
I think when they entered the market, we were in the subscription world of convenience. And their whole pitch was, one was the value, that their razors were as good as any razor in a retail store. But the other part was that it was a convenience. Like, you don't have to worry about buying a razor. Now, what they did that was really, really genius is they advertised their razors for $1.
Yeah.
It was $1 plus shipping when they started. The problem is, majority of men, let's say Brian and me, especially as an example, I can't just have one razor. So when people go to the website, they are probably going to do a bigger pack. I think they have like a starter pack or basic, and then they had all the way up to executive. The executive one, I think it was $12 for, I think, 4 razors, and the basic was $1 plus shipping. So the whole thing for them was, we're going to get somebody to try our razor, to get that email, acquire that customer, or get them to the website. They're going to say, I can't last on a $1 razor. I need to get the bigger pack. And then once they conquered that, they quickly then added the shaving creams and other men's grooming products to grow their AOV. So I think it was a mix. It was timing, but I think the way they positioned really quality product compared to other razors was driven by the value of such a low price from a perceived value standpoint.
So from your research, how do you think they did post-acquisition, as they've kind of, do you think they stayed fresh, or do you think they've lost their edge ultimately?
They've lost their edge. I mean,
why? Do you think it's just marketing?
I think it was competition and change of time, change of pace. In the beginning, when they came out with those video commercials and they were like right brash in your face, and kind of they started to use language in commercials that weren't standard at that time. I think that attracted the younger buyer. And post-acquisition, they just went corporate, humbled themselves, and kind of just focused on the numbers. And that, I think, opened the door for a brand like Harry's to explode as well. So Harry's didn't do a lot different than Dollar Shave Club. It was a kind of like a middle ground of corporate and everything. Harry's went in. Harry's, when you walk into Targets and everywhere, that's all you see. And I think they reconquered that market, and they got acquired as well.
Their approach was nice. So I've never bought from Harry's or Dollar Shave Club, but Harry's, I've heard about it so much. They bought the factory.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of they made their story so loud, and it was such a cool story.
Yeah.
Do you have to shave?
What's that?
You have to shave?
I do have to shave. I use a machine though.
He makes fun of you.
What's wrong with the machine?
Dude, like it's
What?
like
Not everyone's as hairy as
Jimmy,
you
do you
are.
use a machine, or
Dude,
do you
I
use,
shave once a week, bro.
do you use a machine?
I use the same razor little thing
Okay.
that I have
Yeah.
that I
so like people that use the machines,
Yeah.
typically they're like middle school, high, like it's when you're like you're like a little boy, you're afraid of the razor.
I am afraid.
That's just what I
Let's break the fourth window. Do you shave with a machine or a okay? You? So I'm the only guy that uses a machine.
I use a machine.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I-
two machines.
I have the same thing I've used for years, and I literally every week I go, and we're done. No shaving cream.
I just don't
no
think-
meticulous.
but to be fair, like these two.
No.
It's a
Hold
lot
on.
of hair. Have you seen their shoulders?
On my face,
have you seen
I
their
have
shoulders?
on my face.
ask.
I have not used a razor in
What about on your head?
15 years. On my head, yeah, because I'm bald.
Wait, what do you use a machine?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I thought we were saying the machine.
yeah. Now what I'll do is like I'll line up with a razor, but I'll trim it.
Okay.
This guy, just look at him, so upset. Why?
I mean, Brian, like
Such a little.
Right,
bully.
look at
what
your
you got
face and
going
look at
on?
ours.
Beta podcast.
You got
Dude, look at
more.
what you got going
more
on.
hair on your shoulders than I have on my face.
I'm like so disappointed. I've never been this disappointed.
All right, let's talk about disappointment. Let's go to another brand that fell apart. A brand called Juicero. You guys know who those guys are?
I don't.
Okay, they were selling this like high-profile $400 juicer essentially. Remember, again, through the pandemic, everyone was about juicing and stuff, and they sold these juice packs. That was their hook. You buy the $400 machine and you use these juice packs, and then it would squeeze it. But eventually, what happened was they revealed that you could take those juice packs, you could just buy them and squeeze them into a cup, and it would essentially be the same thing, and it wasn't really that special, right? And so their subscription failed. That was their subscription. Their leader was a $400 product,
Yeah.
and they were selling the replenishables, which was these juice packs that you're supposed to use the juicer with in order to squeeze them. But eventually, they just figured out, well, if you just squeeze hard enough, you can just squeeze it right into the cup, and you can get the same thing. So, do you think the idea of having an overpriced, expensive premium product and selling replenishables like this, do you think that was a reason for failure? Is it the experience that they failed to experience? What do you think caused this problem? You guys have
I
any
don't
thoughts?
think it's the model per se, because I think the model 8 Sleep validates that model, right? They have a very expensive product and a subscription.
What's
I
their
think-
subscription at 8 Sleep? It's the software?
Yeah, it's the AI software.
Got it.
So it'll like last night it made 30 adjustments to my temperature to keep me in REM for longer. What are you disappointed again?
The machine thing makes sense now.
But then you still only had a 38
no, wait.
sleep score, right?
Yeah, because I only got 4 hours. I mean, I feel attacked.
You feel attacked? Well, what's the attack?
AI controlled bed
Dude, have you-
sleeping thing.
8 Sleep is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I just sleep, dude. I just go. Give me a bed, dude. Give me the
Okay,
floor.
cool. You take your fucking razor in your bed and beep that out.
I think, Jamie, to answer your question, I think the hero product wasn't a machine; it was a juice.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
They got it wrong.
Okay.
But
Wait, that's how you perceive it. The hero product was the juice, not the juicer.
yeah,
But even though they were selling it as a juicer, as their thing.
Because imagine spending $400 on a product,
Yeah.
and then you see I can just squeeze it. What's the point of that product?
So they should have just focused on the juice, you think?
Yeah.
You think people want premium made juice that's already pre-packed? I guess people buy smoothies all the time.
And we bought some yesterday.
yeah.
The reason Keurig works, Keurig is a $40, $60 entry point, and you buy the little cups.
Yeah, the pods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you pay $400. I mean, that's crazy.
That would be crazy if you had to buy a $400 machine to use those things.
Yeah,
That you can
price point was
that you can
is a
use your
problem.
hand to achieve the same result.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you could open a Keurig K cup and pour it into a little filter and pour water over it and get the same results too.
But it's $40 or 60 or 80
that's
or
true,
whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. I mean, I think that was an interesting model of something that rose. And I remember when everyone was buying these juicers because they were trying to be healthy and, you know, they were doing all their thing and they were buying these really expensive juicers. I couldn't understand because even the juicer thing, you could go buy a cheap juicer for $50-$40 and have the same result.
were
But it was the
selling
idea
that,
of premium and being a part of this community that was really growing up.
Yeah, the juicer trend was right before the make your own sourdough bread trend.
Exactly.
Workspace 6, why struggle alone? Talk to other founders outside of your home. Communities thrive, so slide open your phone. Help you make strides, sit on top of the throne. Oh, whoa, solve your biggest challenges. Oh, whoa, help your checks and balances. Oh, whoa, this is how I salvage it. This a major key alert, just like DJ Khaled is. Apply for a buck, be a part of the workspace. 6:30, helping on your worst days. Surrounded by 9 figures, not in third place. Take a new direction like Mahomes on reverse plays. Yeah, join today, workspace6.io. Tell them Awesome sent you.
All right.
yeah.
I have another one, FabFitFun, right? Lifestyle subscription box. One's considered the darling of the market. They sell a premium box ultimately of highly curated fashion and fashion accessory for women ultimately, right? And John, I know you did research on these guys and love to hear it. They were once super successful, and I have a pretty interesting take on it because I've talked to the team over there, and I think that's really interesting. And one of the things that I think, before you get into it, that was really interesting is when I talked to them, they said that one of the things that they realized is they initially started as tech. They thought of themselves as more of a tech company that was selling a product, and now they've made their switch over into more realizing that they're retail in nature. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so you have some experience talking to them. I have some experience too because in 2021 they stole my credit card. Their their credit cards got hacked and email got hacked, and that was fun. So I wrote a hit piece on them called FabFitFML, and it went semi-viral. That's cool.
So why did you have that box subscription?
Yeah, why did you?
For the nighttime.
Whoa, so I like to take
many things are adding
my
up.
electric razor. I lay in my 8th sleep, and I go through the quarter seasonal melody of FabFitFun. Do you guys outdo this? They have like great stuff to exfoliate.
That's where
I'm sure
AI comes in.
This is for Colleen.
Yeah, so I bought Colleen the
Okay.
annual, so it's a quarterly 4-box.
Brian was really worried. He was about to
Everyone
go
Chuck in the
pot.
right box. Yeah, so I got her the quarterly one full year. Anyway, so yeah, they were doing really good. So during the peak, they were pulling in around $600 million in revenue, which was about a 200% surge. So just like some of the other ones we've talked about, they popped. And they popped hard. Then everything just went to reality for the same reasons you opened our show with, right? It's very, very similar with their product. You look at the need-want scale, and it's pretty close to the want, and not really need and truly required. So revenues went down, member count went down. What they did, they had gotten pretty large and had some great infrastructure in place. So a couple different approaches. One smart move, they acquired PupBox from Petco, which expanded into their pet market, which again, same reason your demographic's your demographic. They're already targeting, a highly mainly dominated female buying cohort, and now they're offering pet stuff as well for cross-selling. That was a really good move. Probably their best move was doubling down on logistics. So they had all this infrastructure in place, and they turned fulfillment services into a very large revenue stream.
Correct.
And it's not like, hey, we're going to do, some small brands and test this. They did that, but Hexglad, Dr. Squatch, Birchbox, these are very large brands with large volume, and they're now handling
Their fulfillment.
The fulfillment.
That's awesome.
And it's fulfillment. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It adds up.
Well, that
And,
makes sense why they think about themselves more of a tech company than they do just a retailer. And I think finding that balance is something key. And they might find themselves in the fulfillment world and becoming just the world's largest direct-to-consumer subscription fulfillment company. I mean, that could be the pivot they need to take eventually.
Yeah, and they have, they have a unique perspective on it because, one thing most people can agree on in our industry is most fulfillment 3PLs, they're not very good, right? They overcharge, they underdeliver. It's just not a good experience. And they have that perspective of actually delivering to the customers and knowing how important experience is. So they kind of take that into that world and deliver something that most 3PLs aren't.
One thing I love about this story, and it's kind of like what I talked about operators earlier, this to me are signs of great operators where they look at these different channels. Most people don't know, which blows my mind. Nokia, the tech company that we had grown to know them, they started selling toilet paper.
What?
Nokia was a toilet paper company.
That's how they started.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they transitioned to what they are. Samsung was a retail store. And then they became what they are today because they saw those opportunities to diversify their channels and became these huge, incredible companies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We'll have to dive into that one day. All right. So whether it's Dollar Shave Club, BarkBox, FabFitFun, eventually the novelty can wear off. That's what we've really realized.
Sure.
And let's talk about churn. Because I think one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about in this market is the hidden cost of what churn really is. And it's really customer retention ultimately. And, I love customer retention coming from SaaS. Churn is something that we care about tremendously, as it's a very key KPI. But for those that that are listening, that don't know what that means, we're talking about the percentage of people who have purchased and canceled and don't renew. Really, the people leaving your funnel, ultimately, people leaving your subscription. And this can be from a variety of reasons, from things that they didn't find value in, that was too expensive, they didn't have a need or want anymore as a customer. These are all reasons that these things are happening. And, a lot of these brands saw a big spike in growth, right? And they got hammered by high churn, which is why they struggled, because it's too expensive to reacquire these customers or continue acquiring new customers. And it's not about signing people up often with subscription, it's about keeping them. Yep. That is really the dollar. We heard earlier with John, he said, I don't make my money till 3.5 months in. So that means for the first 3.5 months, you are losing on that first customer acquisition. Whereas if you were to focus on churn and you continue to focus, I know you guys are, of retention, if you can keep the customer longer, the more money you start to make, because that's when the money comes in. So Brian, I'm going to start with you, right? You run a pretty successful subscription. I know you do, because you have really low churn. How do you keep churn in check? Is there a constant innovation? Are you personalizing boxes? Are you giving away free things? And I'm still waiting to get on your subscription here, because I'm still waiting for the website to come up.
Well, you're not you one-time order?
I can't, because you won't let me buy subscription, because they're
waiting for that.
Well, it takes me 3 days to buy anything from his website, because it takes me so much, and I get angered, and I mistyped. Last time I mistyped, I made it like a $1,000 order, and then I mistyped my email, and then their back end doesn't allow you to update their email, so I have no idea when the product was going to come out. Luckily, their customer service is great, and she emailed me every day and told me about the things that were happening and tracking. But dude, I literally had no idea because I mistyped my email and no one told me, because they don't have Shop Pay.
You should fix that.
Yeah, they're going to fix it when they get this new website up. And I'm just waiting. And they said, you'll be one of the first subscription people to sign up. I said,
Jimmy's going to be like our test.
Yeah, I'll test, but we haven't gotten there. So I'm still waiting for that. But anyways, with that, tell us about yours and how you guys are keeping your churn so low while having such long subscription models.
I think the biggest thing to look at is like whatever your business model is and whatever service or product you're selling, that in a subscription model, how do I make that the highest quality that I possibly can in order to have a direct impact on the consumer staying with it just based off of product quality? And I think that's one thing that the Almost Pride does really well is we're going to make the best pet food in the raw space better than anyone else. What most people do, I would venture to say 99% of all subscription brands that sell products don't do that. What they do is, how do we make a good product, a good box, a good service, a great one, but good enough? And we keep going. So most people stop at good enough. Oh, that's where it makes sense for margins. Well, does it make sense for the consumer? For us, if we wanted to, this is an example, our turkey is the same turkey that you can get at Whole Foods. So we were at Whole Foods yesterday. When you go to the turkey section, ground turkey, that's the same turkey that we procure and put in the pet food. What a lot of people will do in the pet food space is they'll use like processed, like ground, called like regenerated chicken almost, or turkey, and they'll use like byproduct turkeys, and then you can pass that off as like turkey meat.
What is regenerated?
Right? That's the wrong word. Okay,
it's like that fake chicken stuff.
What?
Yeah, it was a human, then it was a turkey. It's like no, they'll use like byproducts, and then they'll pass it off as like turkey meat. So it's not as palatable, right? You could come into like John when he tried Farmer's Dog, digestive issues. Well, if you're trying a new product and your dog has diarrhea right away because you decided to increase your margins in order to crappier quality product, right, to meet your demands financially, well, the consumer's never going to order from you again because you decided to cheap out on the product quality. So that's one thing we don't do. That's number one. Number two is we're always in contact with our consumer base, and whatever they want, we give them. And I think a lot of brands will say like, I hear this a lot where it's like, well, not enough people said this. It's like, well, that's because you're not asking enough people. So we're always talking to consumers. I think like when brands rely a lot on automation, post-purchase surveys or reviews, a lot of automation, email fires or SMS fires, and they're utilizing that feedback to make decisions. And I think those should be the last things you make a decision on. What you should do is, I've talked about this in previous pods, is call 500 people a week. I think that's very, very reasonable for most brands. What do you guys want? And whatever they want, give it to them. And it's to me, it's as simple as that. You want bulk boxes? I'll give you bulk boxes. You want a different recipe? I'll give you a different recipe. You want to move our 5-pound signature, what you're doing right now, bricks into 1-pounders because you're feeding larger dogs and you don't want to portion them out? I'll give those to you too. Oh, your woof recipes, which you feed now, have a synthetic vitamin mix in them. So we saw retailers that our retail sales director was talking with, and they're like, hey, a lot of people either are buying and not rebuying because they're realizing that there's synthetic vitamin and minerals in it, or there's people that order from us that just don't know, and then they find out, we're looking for more of like a whole food solution. So what are we doing? We're reformulating all of our woof, removing the synthetics out of it, replacing it with whole foods, because we're seeing that as like a point that customers want. So I think the biggest two things is exceed product quality, disregard margins to a degree, and then also give customers what they want, because the business shouldn't be the one making decisions.
Oh, that makes sense.
Can I add something? I think you missed one big thing that you guys, I think, do really, really well. And this is from me, who was is a dog owner now too, for a very long time. Adam and you and the team, you guys are extremely transparent about how you guys make your food when there's issues in the food industry with bird flu and things like that. You guys talk to your customers on a weekly basis. And when you go to your comments, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, you see that engagement.
Yeah.
So it's not that they just trust the product, they trust the people.
Yes.
Because you guys are transparent about who you are and how much you guys care.
For sure. We bring people into our facilities. We post behind the scenes stuff all the time. I think just by posting behind the scenes content, brands can increase their retention and decrease their churn overnight just by releasing behind the scenes content.
Well, you guys are releasing very deep content of like the actual product being made, and then you've got Adam, 4th generation owner and operator of Almost Pride, going off and really talking about the story and why and what, and then of course like how the facility is operated.
Because people when you build a connection, you feel bad about canceling because you have a connection. People don't feel bad about canceling from brands. They don't feel bad at all. They feel bad when they cancel from people.
Especially people who care and invest in
Correct.
what you guys do. Yeah. I had a completely opposite experience. I used to feed Simba at one point Origin, which is considered probably the highest grade kibble on the market. Origin was a Canadian company, and they transferred their production to Kentucky at one point. And that ended up causing Simba a bunch of issues, like you said. There was no communication around that. And then I started to go on forums, and it's like, yeah, our dogs are experiencing this since Origin went to Kentucky. And I was like, pretty crappy of them not to communicate that. Yeah. And more importantly, they must have changed their suppliers. And then I ended up changing companies.
So the one thing I'll say from your side that was really nice and pleasant as a subscriber, and I know we're not getting paid to promote this thing, but like one thing I liked was the surprise and delight element. And what I'm talking about is when my my boxes or my payload or truckload,
7 boxes,
a truckload from FedEx, poor FedEx person who always drops it off at the end of my driveway because it's too heavy. Well, when they drop it off and I unpack it, I always get a little sampler of these little like liver treat things, whatever they are, right? And I give them to my dogs at the same time because they're all interested in what I'm opening. So part of my unboxing experience is that my dogs participate in my unboxing because I'm giving them little treats, and they love those treats, right? So they eat them up real fast, and they're all like stiff in the boxes because they're just dogs and they're curious about it. But talking about that, surprise and delight is just one of the ways that you can think about it. But John, I want to talk to you because you got an industry-leading subscription box, and I would love to learn what's your biggest retention hack. Like, what do you guys do to help improve your retention?
So I want to give examples of stuff that isn't best practice common.
Sure.
And there's two, right? So there's surprise and delight, and bringing additional value outside of the box. So in the surprise and delight, we in December we stack ranked the top 500 customers. We sent them all a free gift, and it was nice item. But little tiny surprise and delights work too. So we looked at our cohort churn, just waterfall, if you will. And, people sign up and the cohort just eventually over the months gets lower and lower and they're eventually gone. And we saw a couple of irregularities in the down and to the right. And one of the irregularities was between month 3 and month 4. And we saw another one between month 9 and month 10. It just dipped a little bit more than it should have.
Sure.
And what we did is we just created automations. So after that third box, before the fourth renewal, we just send them an email, and it's just saying, hey, see how everything's going. If you ever have any questions, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, your upcoming renewal, we just took $15 off it. No reason. We just applied a $15 discount to your next renewal. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for continuing the journey with us. No ask, nothing to do. Just here's $15. But what we saw is by doing that, it completely normalized and even pushed the other way, spike up a little bit on the waterfall where now they're sticking around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
And
such a good
same
example of how you use data in your business. And you can congregate the data. I love that, the cohorts and waterfall charts that you can create. But I think this is actually advice that I gave, something similar that I didn't even know that you guys did this, but this is exact advice that I was giving to somebody in one of my communities that I'm a part of. And he was telling me about a subscription box. He's like, well, we're doing surprise and delight. We're shoving it in 2 weeks in. I said, why are you shoving it in so early when people are so at the peak of excitement? I said, why wouldn't you shove this in when you can look at your data and realize when the customers are leaving and work backwards from there to improve your data?
Right.
Because that is the dollar sign that you should be looking at.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, so what should we do? I said, well, if your subscription churn is the highest at 6 months, I start at 4 months and I'm starting to build my surprise and delight there, not at month 2 or 3, or not even at 2 weeks or 4 weeks like you guys are doing today. And it kind of hit that light bulb, but that's definitely a great way to use data, and people should be doing that. I think one of the maturity things that, as brands get bigger, and we know that with the larger brands, they need to be using data to make better decisions on how to adjust their marketing and their aspects. Don't just guess. Use the data. Talk to your customers.
You don't have to guess. You have
right?
the data.
These are all things. All right. I want to flip over and I want to finish this thing off here, and I want to talk about the future. As we look at the future subscription, the initial hype is dying down, and we see the second wave of subscription innovation that's happening here today, right? And here's my spicy take. Some people argue that consumers are burned out. They're streaming, meal kits, razor blades, dog toys. Are we reaching a saturation point, or is there room for unique subscriptions still to this point? How do you guys feel about that? Anyone have any thought process around that? Brian, you seem to have something that you're thinking about right now.
No, I think it's always going to be possible to have like a smaller subscription brand and have something, new and fresh and a good idea. I think it's going to be harder and harder to take a sub $5 million subscription and turn it into 20 or 30. I think those days are going to be very hard.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to have a small little, subscription business, I think there is still room.
Yeah,
for sure.
What about you guys?
I agree. There's always going to be a room for a unique new offering,
subscription
but I think
offering.
we are at saturation.
Yeah.
People are burned out. People are over it.
I think the way that can only happen, that scale, is what you, John, and a lot of successful companies do, is community building. I think there has to be that value, there has to be meaning, there has to be belonging. And if brands just want to be transactional, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think community is spot on. I think that a lot of these people, and I think there's an intersection of digital and physical that needs to start occurring more and more. Obviously, John's doing a good job at that, but subscription doesn't have to always be a physical product. Subscription could be membership, community, offering. I mean, you guys have it. I know a couple other guys like FabFitFun have it. Not only do they have a membership, but then they've got a community and an aspect to get discount sales or special deals or digital subscriptions, or even thinking about the Patreon model and offering a unique membership into a back end where you may not be able to look into, right? These are all things people are looking for because, again, as you kind of nailed it, people buy from people. We've always known this. And I think brands need to continue to lean into that.
For sure.
All right. I want to jump into the game portion of this pod here. We have prepared a new game on this one that we launched last time maybe.
Last batch, yeah.
John, we have something called Guess That Business.
Don't look at his paper.
And don't look at his paper and cheat him, Mary.
Don't cheat him.
Does he have good eyesight or just good bad
I've
hearing?
seen
Great,
one.
great eyesight.
You've seen one. I
Can't
haven't.
hear worth
I've
of
seen
shit,
one.
but he can.
How did you see it?
I've seen one.
Oh, geez. All right.
I'm not going to participate in that one.
Okay.
I'm just being honest here. I could have lied.
Hey,
You're
another machine guy.
Another machine guy.
He's a machine guy too. You're the only
I'm a
non-machine
hybrid.
guy.
I'm a hybrid.
He's got no hair.
It doesn't matter. When
I'm
he
a
does have
hybrid.
hair, he uses a machine.
Let's go to the game, please.
Gosh.
Let's get this over with.
All right, so it's Guess That Biz, right?
It doesn't help. His font is like 25 on the paper.
Wait, what?
Your font is so large.
Just don't cheat.
Yeah, but if you
bro.
don't look at it, you don't even know how big the font is. So stop looking.
How can I not? I'm facing you. Okay, I'm gonna look this way.
Stop looking.
I'm not looking at your tablet.
Look at the camera.
Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Pretty camera.
So it's very, very simple, interactive. Guess the business. I'll give hints. I'll present hints. They'll become harder and get easier and easier. You guys make guesses, except for this guy because he cheats. And eventually,
cheat.
we'll reveal the business. And if there's a takeaway, coaching, things we would have done differently, any added value we can all bring, we'll throw it in.
Got it.
So starting out, well, I mean,
I'm not looking.
yeah. So over the past year, their stock has plummeted by approximately 42%, reflecting challenges in maintaining investor confidence. No one's going to get it based on
Is this
that.
a CPG product?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is where we're going to start getting stuff. The company is renowned for its plant-based meat substitutes, aiming to revolutionize the food industry.
It's got to be Impossible.
No,
Beyond.
they're not public.
Stop playing cheater.
I'm not cheating. I
But
know
you
what it
can't-
is.
But you
I would've
can't
known where I'm
add. You
looking.
can't add
Just
things to
no,
this.
Let's just
I just said Impossible
mute
is
his
not
mic.
a public company.
Mute his mic.
Impossible is not a public company. I just helped you. I just answered.
Okay,
It's a private
facing increased competition from both traditional meat companies and new plant-based entrants, it's struggling to maintain its market share.
Interesting.
It's
Any
so
idea?
easy,
Any ideas
guys.
here?
No, I'm not.
It is so easy.
I mean, I like my real chicken.
It is so easy.
So easy. It's
No.
green something.
No.
No.
Okay, keep going. You can't participate, Amer.
Despite challenges, he's just unable to stop talking. Despite challenges, it continues to expand partnerships with major retailers to increase product accessibility.
So this product is a non-meat alternative.
Yep.
It's not mainstream enough, so it's not possible Beyond.
But you're close, and it's that big.
But once we get past Impossible Beyond, I literally.
Oh wait, what was the second one you said?
Beyond Meat?
Beyond, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
But I said that the first time.
No, you said Impossible.
You said Impossible.
No, I said Beyond Meat too. I
did
purely
say
that.
said
I
it the first time around.
I
I
have
was
a
so
reason not to hear it.
consumed with.
and he goes, oh, it's not private. It's private. He was saying that.
I
Yeah.
said Impossible is private.
I know, but Beyond Meat, if you would have listened with your ears instead of you using your eyes to cheat,
you listen?
you would have listened. You heard Beyond, right?
Can we go? Do we have another game we can play and just go right into the next game?
Oh,
Without
geez.
cheating?
All right. We're done. It's a wrap. Next time we're gonna put a freaking wall next to you guys. You need a wall. Build a wall.
I would have known this one. This was easy.
It wasn't
This
easy.
is. I'm a target market. Of
Do you
these
know the
guys,
next answer,
And I
too?
invested it. Huh?
Do you know the next one too? The next answer?
I didn't see the next one.
Okay.
He hasn't seen that one to cheat. Next time, maybe you hold the paper against
Yeah.
his face. All right. With that interesting game that we had, we had two hosts for this time.
Yeah.
John and Amer's
Jumping in.
guessed that game apparently this time as he
How'd
as
you
he
like
got
having a
into
co-host?
it. All right. It's
great.
With that, it's
Thank
a wrap. Episode 36, the rise and fall of subscription models in e-commerce. Guys, if you enjoyed this pod here today, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, let us know what you think. Follow us on social, TikTok, X, IG, LinkedIn, YouTube, or just type in ASOM Pod to find us anywhere you are looking for us. And don't forget to leave us a review or rating on your favorite podcast or streaming platform. Remember, we're a video first pod. We fly location to location to shoot these together, not only for the dynamics of this pod, and so Amir can cheat over the shoulder of John. I'm pronouncing it
Amir
wrong
as
on purpose.
America.
I did that on purpose.
I know you did.
Just on
And I'm
purpose, just to
correcting you on
annoy you.
purpose.
And we want to deliver the highest quality experience and, of course, banter and eye rolling from Brian. So if you want to check us out, though, we highly recommend YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to awesompod.com to be alerted and join our newsletter each and every week. We'll be back next week. Next week is episode 38, guys, and next week's title is Lean Mean Business, the Great Talent Shift. We're seeing a big change happening in this world. We want to talk about it, so we'll talk about that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next pod.
Welcome to the Awesome Pod, where we talked a lot. E-com was the path that we walked a lot. But now the question is, will you subscribe or not? Ha!